Hey folks, Levi here once again. Welcome back to another video. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts on Arrow Season 5, Part 1 and Part 2. Again, as continue my superhero marathon. Oh, thank you guys for the 453 subs. Keep on subscribing. I do appreciate it. And share my channel if you can. And I'm sorry I've been doing videos lately, guys. I've just been busy with work and life in general. But, well, the video was on 4 days ago. But again, y'all know I've been doing a superhero marathon. Phase 4 is the superhero TV shows. I've been talking about the Arrowverse. I've been on the TV show Arrow starring Stephen Amell. And this time, I'm giving my thoughts on favorite episodes of Arrow Season 6, the sixth season. Which, to be honest, I didn't like. Just like Season 5, this is another downfall for me. I did not care for this season very much. We're not talking about the crossover. I think the crossovers where Barry and Iris get married and the Nazis come over. But I didn't care for this season at all. There's some episodes I kind of like, but this was another huge letdown in my opinion. Another lame season, just like Season 5. I do like season 1, 2 the most. The best one, season 3 and 4. I like. They may be a bit of a downhill for the series, but season season 3 or 4, I mean, but season 5 and 6, and this especially 6, they're like the bottom low, you know. But this was a lame season, I thought. So I'll give my thoughts on it, talk about the episodes, and this will be in 2 parts, by the way. Let's see, and there will be spoilers in here. So if you've not seen Arrow season 6 or the previous seasons, don't watch this episode. Don't watch this video. Don't spoil it for yourself. So basically, this season, Oliver is dealing with being a father. After what happened to Lian Yu when Prometheus, Adrian killed himself, we see the events after that take place. And Oliver is now dealing with fatherhood. So he attempts to balance his vigilante style as the Green Arrow, alongside his role as mayor as well, and raising, being a father to William. Following the death of Samantha on Lian Yu, she made him promise to take care of him. He rekindles his relationship with Felicity. They get married in the season. Yes, that happens. They get married in the season 0 crossover, but we do see them have a wedding in an episode. We have a new threat in the form of a terrorist hacker named Ken James and his criminal gang emerges. But though when Ricardo Diaz, aka a guy who calls himself the Dragon, a street thug, a thug or whatever, kills James, and with Team Arrow facing a bitter split, Oliver is forced to enlist the aid of the FBI, striking a deal that leads to his incarceration in federal prison and his outing as the Green Arrow to the public, letting people know his identity. And Diaz wants to take over the city, and the team is broken up. So Oliver has to, along with the FBI, and get his team back. They have to take on Ricardo Diaz, the Dragon, and defeat him and save the city from the Dragon, Ricardo Diaz, and defeat him once and for all. Meanwhile, at the end of the season, Oliver goes to jail for being the Green Arrow. All those murders he committed when he was the Hood, it finally comes back to him eventually. But again, this is another lame season, in my opinion, and I'll get to why. That's just a plot synopsis I'm giving you. All right, excuse me, thing. And I got the episodes written down here. All right, starting with the first episode. That's my favorite. That is called Fallout, which is the first episode of season 6. It opens at the beginning with Team Arrow trying to stop this guy named Alex Frost or whatever his name is, I forget. He's gonna set up a missile. I do like seeing Oliver in action though, wearing his Green Arrow suit, fighting some bad guys, which is cool. Alex is trying to set up this guy named Alex Frost is trying to set up a bomb, a missile. He shoots it. I don't like the new team. The new team sucks. They do get new suits. Yeah, Renee gets a new, Diana Drake gets her Black Canary suit, which again I thought, in my opinion, that was lame. And Renee gets a new suit, but he looks like instead of Jason Voorhees, he looks like now Jason. He looks now like Jason X. Uh, Curtis wears that stupid makeup. But his T-Spears that he uses, his little balls that he uses, he calls T-Spears, he uses it to destroy the missile. Eventually, Oliver takes the guy down. We see flashbacks with Leon Yu with him talking to Deathstroke and the events of the explosion that happened. Thea ends up not sick, but Thea ends up, he tells William, I'm your father. I like that little moment there. And Samantha, sadly, the girl that is William's mother, that he got pregnant back in high school, she dies and says, Oliver, please, take care of him for me. And she dies. Oliver is getting hit by Deathstroke. They find Thea. Thea ends up in a coma for a while, so that was sad. I hated seeing Thea in a coma for a little while. He's out in a coma for most of the season. You know. Meanwhile, Oliver has to deal with being a father to William, living in his loft. A new apartment, and William has like nightmares. There's even one scene where he goes to William and he calls him Oliver. He's trying to be a father and build a relationship with his son. This is his first time being a father, so for him it's a little difficult. William even, stays up late at night having nightmares. He's like, this man killed my mommy, killed my mother, and Oliver's like, who? And then he points at Oliver. So that's pretty sad, though, I thought. Foss is kept in the CCPD. Diana Drake is lieutenant now. She eat him in soda, but she agrees to give him, but he puts like a bomb in it or something like that. But or two Laurel, that is the Black Siren, shows up, and she's working with him. Yeah, they kill some police officers in the precinct. Quentin is now his chief of staff. The reason they attacked was because the new police academy graduation is about to take place. They're trying to see. Well, apparently, they tell her that Black Siren was killed. You come to find out that after the explosion happened, when Adrian killed himself, Black Siren and Diana, they were fighting on the island. She was close to killing her. Quentin is like, let her go, let her go. Quentin, pow, shoots her. But you find out that it was Kate and James that found her and brought her to work for him. The team eventually goes after them. Diana fights, Black Canary fights Black Siren. Uh, yeah, all these names right. But yeah, John, who you find out in the season has like nerve damage on his arm right here. He's shooting, and he actually shoots Renee by accident, shoots him with his gun as Spartan. Renee goes down. Renee, ends up in the hospital too after that. Oliver's able to save him though. They do have a ceremony for the cops. Diana becomes, like I said, the new lieutenant for the SCPD. And Black Siren breaks into the cave. I mean, to the arrow cave. She breaks in. She fights Black Siren. Her and Diana fight again, but she's like, "There's no time for this. They're stealing something." John hesitates to fight some of them. Quentin, she does run to Quentin, but Les decides not to shoot her. Oliver don't see Renee at the hospital, lets him see Zoe. He was able to get to the lawyer and get him his daughter back as well. He sees Slade Wilson. It was I see Slade Wilson again. Yeah, like I said, they brought. It was cool that they brought the Dark Archer back. Malcolm Merlin. Malcolm Merlin died. We do get a bit of Deathstroke in this season, which I liked. And Slade Wilson is intending to fight his son Joe. One of Curtis's T-balls goes missing. We found out they took it because Caden James needs to use it. Again, he's trying to rekindle his relationship with his son. He's trying to form a relationship with his, because it's his son. But anyway, he gets a call from William. He turns on the news. Somebody got a picture of him as the Green Arrow. Yeah. Well, apparently what happened before the island blew up, Slade Wilson just told the rest of them, "See you later. I'm out of here." Uh, Samantha wanted to go find William. She's running. They're saying we need to get on the ship or this boat or whatever. Samantha's like, "I'm not leaving my son." I'm like, which was stupid for her to do. I'm like, Oliver found him. He's not on the island. So in a way, Samantha's don't, dumb enough to your own demise. You could say, well, she's a mother. Yeah, of course. I get it. But you could trust Oliver. He took care of it. But I guess they didn't know what to do with this character. So they said, Oliver's got to be a fatherhood. So kill Samantha off. So, okay. Yeah. And eventually, Oliver, I don't know if it's in this episode, but he meets this officer lady. I don't think he's having yet. But he does meet this FBI agent later who suspects him to be Green Arrow. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode for what it was. Right. And that was Fallout. Alrighty. Nope, wrong season. Alright, next episode. This episode I thought was okay. This was called Tribute. This was alright. You will hear me ranting about some things. After seeing the TV, Oliver's, after the previous episode, of course the question was like, getting in his face, the media's getting in his face. Paparazzi, are you the Green Arrow? He's like, no, I'm not the Green Arrow. Of course he's lying. It was Roy Harper that was. He's like, that's like saying Bruce Wayne is Batman. It's a joke. I do like they make the Batman reference. I like that Oliver did that. But Oliver goes to his office. They're met by this special agent named, her name is Agent Watson. I didn't like her. I thought this character was a bitch. I couldn't stand her at all. Annoying character. I'm like, and now we're gonna go through this crap again where they're trying to figure. Because remember 6 years ago in the season one previously, and then in season one, they thought that he was Oliver passed the lie test. They thought that he was the Green Arrow, and then in season three, they thought he was the Green Arrow. Then now we gotta go through this again. I'm like, really? Oliver reaches to Renee to find out who sent the image. Yeah, and the team's trying to find out who linked this photo. They realize it was created from somebody inside the station. eventually they try to, you know, there's this gathering going on. Eventually, they get captured by Anatoly, who's in charge of the Bravada. You also find out Anatoly's working with Kate and James as well. You know, Duke and Diana, they do like training together, but she also talks to John. She's like, John, there's something wrong with you. I saw what you did. You know, you shot Renee by accident, or so you hesitate. You know, is there something wrong? He's like, he does tell her about his nerve, but he's like, I'll be fine. Not a big deal. Don't let Oliver know about it. I don't make a big deal about it because he's got, like I said, this nervous system after the explosion. Leon knew when the explosion happened, it hurt his like shoulder right here, and he has like this nerve damage in his hand. Felicity and Curtis are able to work digitally to find out these provided they take, kidnap some people. Oliver gets kidnapped by them. You figure that William gets into a fight at school, but they say that his dad's not a weak Green Arrow, and I liked it when Oliver told William, next time you get into a fight, punch him in the nose. It blinds him, but you punch him, he's useless. Okay, Oliver, give your kid, well, he's just giving the kid advice about how to deal with a bully. Felicity gets a call that they found Anatoly, and it was not see Anatoly. He was just from Russia. He was in season 5 with Russia, but he mainly met Oliver on the island in season 2. The team had to eventually go save Oliver, or the team has to go. They fight some of the gatekeepers. They're fighting Anatoly and trying to get the hostages. Uh, Renee and Lance are having to, court order pretty much to talk to Agent Watson, and Oliver can't show up, but she assumes that he's the Green Arrow. She still assumes it. Yeah. She wants to question everybody over knows that's Felicity, the team, Quentin Lance, and even Felicity as well. Yeah. And even William. And it's always said he kidnapped these people because he needs money. He does fight with, as Green Arrow does fight with him a bit and, punches at Tony quite a bit. The team is fighting. And again, Diana does want him to tell Oliver, but he refuses. And, John's gonna like shoot one of the bravado, but he hesitates and Diana gives him a look like, really? You almost got me killed kind of look. Oliver, as Green was able to point the arrow at him. But once he gives Tully what he wants, until he shoots the hostage anyway. Even then Tully was going to take William prisoner, but he didn't. Oliver does eventually talk to Agent Watson. Yeah. But Oliver is able, they play a computer game together eventually. Oliver decides to quit being the Arrow by the end. He tells John, I'm gonna let you take my place. He shakes his hand, and be that as it may, he lets him be the Green Arrow, but doesn't know about the nerve damage. He told Oliver about it. But Oliver wants to quit because he wants to be more of a father. It's just hard to do that, being a father, being a mayor, and a vigilante. So he decides to give it to John. It was okay. It was actually Anatoly back and see how much he's changed. He was one of a good man, but he's done some disturbing things. And I like that him and Oliver, they walk some fine lines between being good and bad. You know, yeah. But Anatoly's stepping more to his dark side in this season as well. So I like what they do with Anatoly. You know, I kind of wish that they would have made him a main villain of the season. I think that would have been cool. All right, and that was tributes. In the next episode, this next episode is okay as well, in my opinion. That is called Next of Kin. Oh, remember, I will not be talking about crossover, but yeah, Next of Kin. Okay, which is okay. Another okay episode, in my opinion. You know, Dougal is now taking representation of Green Arrow. He's taking they're taking the hood. And someone I just didn't like him being in the suit very much. What made it worse though, I hate what they do with John Dougal in this season. Now John always gives all the advice. He's like a brother to him. But in this season, they just make him a jerk as well, which I'll get into later why. But him even relying all over and putting the team in danger. Yeah, you see Tim their request to search for a criminal, you know, where they want to know where Black Siren is at. You know, Oliver is hanging out with his son William, and William says he's got a math test, and he's trying to tell Oliver about it. I was like, buddy, I don't know about that. I'm not very good at math either. Oliver does go to work as the mayor again, trying to get away from trying to prove that he's not the Green Arrow, trying to hide that. At a server farm, though, there's a break. There's a lady. Onyx is broken in. A glimmer explosions after render the labors oblivious. It started to hack a PC. Diana goes there, talks to Curtis and them to get this information for Team Arrow. Oliver and Lance keep on contemplating on approaching to remove themselves from Team Arrow. Oliver goes to Felicity's for lunch. They talk about William and they start to become friends and even start to fall in love again. Which I just didn't care about too much. But he asks her to tutor William, and she says yes. She agrees to it. Oh, and the place is called Ford Industries. That they're trying to hunt down a Black Siren. Okay, yeah. Somewhere else, though, Gordon Street's truck is this moving, so they have to get it down. They have to stop the bad guys from coming. You have this driver, honestly, this driver, truck drivers, security guards. Oh my god, this guy starts singing, and it is annoying. Oh my gosh, really? We get to some overweight fat dude singing a horrible song. Green Arrow shows up is like, I trust my team to handle it. Yeah, your team's that great. But anyway, he writes in the car as Green Arrow. They're listening to music. I did think it was funny when John in the Green Arrow suit says, "You have horrible taste in music." I thought that was funny. I didn't find it funny that the guy was singing though. I wish Diggle would have put the arrow on the radio to shut it up. You know. Diggle stops the truck though. He gets discovered. He's looking back at it. He's shot by Phoenix. He like hesitates in the field. Doesn't know what to do. Jason X, Renee comes up to him and says, "What do we do?" He's like, "Okay, screw it." And then he runs, and this explosion happens. These people nearly get killed. Renee and Diana, get up on Diggle. And Renee's like, "Hoss, you couldn't do it right. You almost got us killed. You making these bad decisions." Can't believe I'm saying this, but Renee's probably actually right. Yeah, he's a shitty vigilante, but he's got a point, and he'll get killed. But some people were hurt. Diggle does apologize to them over that. Oliver realizes that they're attempting laws of vigilante law. And Oliver even goes to the public about this, or you know, kind of like Congress. The mayor has to talk about, I guess, doing a new law where cops and vigilantes work together, which I didn't really like that. It does get a little political for me here a bit. You know, Diggle Diana talks about it again. She's like, "You need to tell the team, you need to tell Oliver about your nerve damage." And he's like, "I got it under control. It'll be okay. It'll be fine." Police shows that Honest is clearing out individuals from her special forces unit. There's one remaining she presently can't seem to execute. You know, Renee goes to Oliver, talks to Oliver, says, "You need to come back as a Green Arrow. John is doing horrible." Once Oliver returns, Oliver does go to Arrow HQ, goes to the bunker, has a talk with him about how you make these decisions. You're gonna have to make some tough decisions, John. You just have to deal with that being part of being a leader. You know. But again, he doesn't tell him about his nerve damage. Oliver gives him that motivational speech, which I liked. He's like, this is why I give you the hook, because you're my friend, you're my brother, and I trusted you. I trust you. You have Felicity, she's teaching William math, and she keeps coaching him. The group assembles this morning. This thing that happened that Reynolds is moving up. Who's Reynolds again? Oh, okay. I guess one of the main bad guys of Onyx. Onyx and her group close in on Reynolds. Oh, it's this lady. You know, they figured the Green Arrow was weak, so he's not a problem. After her drew nearby Diggle, Onyx begins discharging the gas. It's this gas that can kill a lot of people, and they gotta stop them. They plug the, you know, they get into this building. They have to get everybody back, get everybody out of here. And before it goes off, the explosion goes off, the gas goes off. Diana's able to use her, Black Canary's able to use her scream, canary cry, while Diggle shoots an arrow at it. You know, they blow in the trash can that the gas canister in. They did okay. Diggle fights with Reynolds again. He gets into a fight with her, but he beats her this time. She laughs though, like smiles because she thinks she's gonna kill him, but he's eventually able to overpower her, take her down. Renee does apologize too about losing on him. And since he can't shoot an arrow, they create a crossbow for him. Because in this episode, they say, well, the Green Arrow's not shooting arrows. And even Agent Watson, who's smart, by the way, notices it. You know, and she believes it's still going to that mask. And what they want to do is have vigilante and cops work together. Remember the rest of Star City side on the issue, rather than simply, being passed by the city gathering. Oliver gets a present for Felicity, gets her some food for thanking her, and then the two share a kiss, assuming that they do get back together. You find out that Diggle is, going to a drug dealer, that he's shooting himself up with some drugs, and it does work for a while with the nerve damage. But anyway, Tribute was okay. I just thought it was an okay episode. It didn't piss me off, but that was Next of Kin. Sorry, Next of Kin. Sorry, it was alright. All right, and the next episode, the next okay one, in my opinion, the next okay one is this one's also okay. It's called Reversal. This episode opens. This episode called what again? Reversal. This one was okay. It opens up with Black Canary. She's disguised in a black wig, seducing this man, and I will admit Kate Cassidy still was gorgeous, but she used her scream and kills this man. She does this thing with her black siren scream, cry, where she goes in your ear, it can kill you. You know, it's very deadly. Oliver and Felicity are now back to dating again. These people tell them, "Y'all make a cute couple." Oh, we're gonna vote for the anti-vigilante group thing. Referation, whatever, political talk, bullshit. I don't know. I didn't like this whole anti-vigilante thing going on. House of Vigilantes working, that'll never happen. Yeah. Well, I mean, it happens with Batman, but thing is, Batman could be in the police station working with Gordon, but he's not. Doesn't wear a badge. Vigilantes do not wear a badge. Yeah. He gets summoned to the bunker, and Oliver understands. The men that they talk about, Laura, the guy that she killed, Dan is on the scene. She recognizes his death as a result of Sonic's scream. Laura meets with a mysterious man named Check, who is grateful for what she provided him with. And he's like, but did you have to kill him? Well, it's better than leaving a witness for them to question. She sees Elena, the lady in charge of Helix, and she says that Kane James did this to her and she needs Felicity's help to save the world from him. You find out Kane James, he's planning on destroying, killing 300 billions of people, that he's out for revenge, and that he's dangerous. She thinks that, because they try to break him out in the last season, which I didn't like. Well, we hear about Kane James in the fifth season. Now he's credited as a villain in this season. So Felicity's helping her out. She and Theta work out they can hack James' system. Curtis can't go out as Mr. Terrific because Felicity's helping her, so they can't contact her. Uh, they go to Oliver. Some of the city is 70% of the city is against the whole anti-vigilante law. Curtis is able to track Laura's sonic scream. Laura purchases her next target, Jenny. Detective Scream, Green Arrow, Wild Dog, and Mr. Terrific Black Canary head down there. You know, Black Siren and Black Canary exchange screams. You know, Felicity and Elena go to this cave club. You have this man follow them in a weird mask. You find out it's Oliver. They question them, and even though like Felicity, she did look gorgeous in that red dress, though. I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, Oliver shows up to fight. He's like, you need to not be in danger. I'm gonna worry about you. And she's like, you don't need to save me. I don't need rescuing. Yes, you do, Felicity. Because you're doing something stupid. I don't know. I don't care what this character Athena and what she was doing. Oliver's trying to protect her because Felicity nearly got herself killed as being stupid, like she always is. Yeah. So Oliver's trying to help her. She's like, I don't need your help. I'm like, this is why I don't like the two-hour relationship show. Yeah. 38 minutes. Okay. Yet again, Felicity and Athena are breaking into Helix. Felicity gives them a brief recap of the situation with James. Pierce traces the sonic scream. Felicity and Athena's work is ended by Black Siren destroying their computers. Eventually their Black Siren's ever capture Felicity. They're gonna try to kill Athena for her betrayal. The team has to fight this gunman, Green Arrow fighting Black Siren at one point. Athena gets shot. They're trying to get access to this vault. Well, King James has to get into this vault to get access to it. For some reason, Black Siren wants to break it down with her sonic spears. Like, no, no need to do that, Miss Lance. No need for violence. It's just a waste of time and messy. Felicity gets visited by Oliver, who does best to reassure her about James, saying he does find her supportive and tells her deal with the things they didn't deal in the present. Black Siren kills the security guard. James and Check use the fingerprints to access the vault. James reminds Black Siren was rescued here for Lando, so he's like, "So you better do what I say. Listen to me, Miss Lance." I was the one that rescued you, saved your life. Oliver, I like Oliver being in the bunker. That was pretty nice. Felicity, he's taking her place as Overwatch, and she's gonna get shot out, a couple times. Green Arrow fires his crossbow bolt at Black Siren, who shoots it off with her scream, and they're trying to find out what Cade and James and Black Siren are teamed up, figure out what they're up to. Felicia's just naming this company Helix Dynamics with offering Alina a job. Yeah, Curtis and by the way, I forgot to mention Curtis and Felicity want to open up their business with that, computer business, something like that. Laura, James, and Shake are at airfield. James gives Laura his equipment that will mask her in the future. James doesn't want to start over, but to get Felicity to disable the firewall around it, which let him be a piece of code. Oliver and Felicity finally make it back to their passionate reunion. They make love. But before that, though, he sees Slade Wilson, and Slade says, "I need your help, kid." You know, because when he goes to visit, I think visits Thea at the hospital, Slade's there and says that he needs his help, or comes to his loft apartment, whatever. But again, sorry, reversal was okay. I thought. Right in the next episode, sorry, so that was reversal. And this episode was one of my favorites. This was Deathstroke Returns. Yeah, I didn't mind what the team was doing, but I don't really like John's Green. I can't really see Oliver replaced. I mean, I get what Oliver's doing it, but this show is called Arrow, and Oliver Queen is the Green Arrow, so it's sad not to see him in the suit most of the time. But anyway, Diana, she's leaving the police station. She's getting shot at. It's by the vigilante. She uses her scream on him, and she find out it's a man named Vincent who was her partner, and they were lovers as well. That night, though, when she got her powers from that 3 or 4 years ago from Central City, when the particle accelerator went off, and I'm talking about Central City where Barry Allen got his power, the power to be a speedster. She got her power for the Canary, but you find out that Vincent is a vigilante, the vigilante the whole time. He can't get harmed really. You can shoot at him, you can do some hard things, but he's impervious to pain. But he gets away. He uses like this weapon on her to get himself away from her. So Renee calls Oliver so the two discuss the circumstances. Oliver orders Renee to discover the character. Hangs up. Slade Wilson's with him at home. Slade talks about his son, Joe, but he doesn't need him as the Green Arrow. He needs him as Oliver Queen. So you do get a few flashbacks, which I do like seeing with Deathstroke and his son. They're going camping. He's keeping an eye on this man. He's just fishing with his son. He's camping out with him. Or, cooking a little bit. Playing baseball with his son. Little ball, playing a little ball with his son. And apparently he brought his Deathstroke mask. He takes out this man that was starting. You find out that Joe, when he was a kid, that he saw his father kill this man. You know, Diana and Diggle do, get a chance upon seeing Special Agent Watson. They probably who's trying to explore Oliver. Diggle leaves the scene though because she's there and she's like, "I'm not talking to you. I'm not saying to you, Miss Diggle. You're not a cop. You shouldn't be here. You know, aren't you busy being the Green Arrow for Oliver?" Then John just walks away. Yeah, he does talk to Felicity about it, but Felicity's like, "Well, I'll watch over him. Just go do what you need to do with your friend. Go help him out." Slade, the Mayor crew was gone. Slade's actually, I'm not saying Slade's a good guy. He's the character of Slade Wilson, though. He does work a fine line of good and evil, if you will, of light and dark a bit. You know, yeah. So Aaron Oliver, continue facing that he'll keep. Oh, sorry. He didn't think Oliver show, but Oliver does. But I mean, Diana does tell the team that it was her sweetheart, her lover, Vincent. Felicity, gets a call from Special Agent Watson who wants to talk to her. Oliver and Slade they go to Cosnia. They're meeting one of Slade's old companions who hand over an organizer with knowledge. The company reveals to Slade that his child was sneaking about, trying to hire firefighters where he was captured. Felicity's meeting with Special Agent Watson. Oliver and Slade are bringing forth out a arrangement to get Slade's child. Slade gives Oliver a case loaded with cash and passes to London. He arranges Oliver to not tell his child he assisted. Slade fears the child down on him for being in Deathstroke. Oliver attempts to convince him in any case. He gets to kill this man, by the way, because he says, "I'll be back," like he's going to the bathroom, but puts on Deathstroke mask, and he kills the guy because he was hired to kill him. Oliver meets with this negotiator to get Slade shot from Joe, but he says that Joe's dead. And he does tell Deathstroke, tells Slade, but Slade doesn't believe it. Slade wants to go see it for himself. That's when you get that little picture they're seeing, and Slade's like, "He's lying. He's lying. The son of a bitch is lying." He's gonna attack him, and then Oliver tries to calm him down. He's like, "Calm down, Slade." He's like, "I'm gonna do something about it." It's like, but they didn't guarantee that I was his father and I'm gonna do something about it because I always keep my promises. You know, Oliver and Slade return to the jail to see Joe's body, but Joe doesn't pass no Joe fight. Brother's taken though. Diana has called police to a short TV station where Councilwoman Baller, who Oliver talked with in the fifth season, last season, she almost gets killed by the vigilante, but Black Canary fights her off. I mean, fights her and vigilante fight, but she lets him go. Back in Cosney though, Deathstroke is, Slade's putting on his Deathstroke uniform, which I thought was cool. But he's like, Deathstroke said, Slade says, "Appreciate everything." Oliver's like, "Kid, go home." And Oliver has a strength, but he passes out. He's like, He's like, leaves him, and Oliver wakes up. He's like, thank you for everything you've done. You know. Then we get back to the team again as they begin discussing Vincent, who I didn't really care too much about this. The whole thing trying to go after Vigilante. And the Diane character, Drake, I don't care for her very much. Just not my Black Canary. Sorry. I don't even like her suit either. Yeah, Vincent does get shot in the head, but he's in impenetrable hole to pain. Diana Vincent eventually talk about influenced by dark matter. Diana lets Vincent stroll from the scene so he doesn't get captured. Diana raising team member discloses that he got vigilante that he escaped. You find out that Living Sun is being captured by the Jackals. So, Slade shows up and it's just Deathstroke who starts fighting people off, which I thought was pretty cool. And Deathstroke in action. Dan is going to get us from the scene where she's drawn closer by the Post Agent Watson. And Watson's like, well, when the lights went out, Diana, Lieutenant Drake, Black Canary showed up. And she's like, well, that wasn't me. I'm not the Black Canary. She gets a paper rose, a blessing from Vincent. All appears where Slade is being held hostage now. He's like, I want to see my son. You must see your son. And then he sees an adult Joe, who is alive and well, says, hello, Dad. How are you? And then it ends there. But I did like the episode, mainly for Deathstroke. The whole thing with Vigilante going on, I didn't care too much about it. Just didn't care. Anyway, the episode was okay, in my opinion. Wait a minute. Oh, Deathstroke Returns. Never mind, I liked it. I just didn't care about the whole thing with Diana and Vincent and their relationship. I just don't care. But Deathstroke Returns, that was good in my opinion. Sorry. Then another favorite of mine that is called Promises Kept. We're in 53 minutes. Okay. Once I get in the 2 hour mark of this video, I'll go on for part two. You see Joe Wilson holding Dan Oliver at gunpoint in the wake of concerning with him. He wants to make up for lost time with his dad. They share this bourbon drink, and he invites his dad to join his team. And says that he's become a mercenary. He's been inspired by his dad for his actions and with the siege, even though Slade was under the effects of the Mirakuru at the time. We do get to see flashbacks again where Slade is at the clinical office. He's out of commission and Bandage coming there. Apparently, like I said, he didn't die in season 2 when Oliver. It was that fight with Oliver that he has a flashback to now where Oliver stabbed him in the eye with an arrow. So Slade explains amnesia, feels his father and how he got where he was. They have to fight some drones or some weapons. Even though Diggle was taking drugs, you see his hands shaking, the nervous system is coming back. Yeah. Oliver is like sneaking around the area. They returns home, talks with his wife Lila. He now accepts that he's the Green Arrow. Like, eventually he just like, Slade, Slade. He gets Slade's attention. He's like, kid, I told you to go home. So Oliver sneaking around a bit. Eventually, Oliver takes out one of the guys, and Joe's right hand man, is able to see Oliver. He gives the script a mission. He goes to his dad and puts his assistance. Slade obligates and says he needs to return up some develop. We're going to cover. We see another flashback of Slade in the office. He's battling with Joe. He gets a little too rough. Joe says, I'm sorry, he's training. And then he starts having, Slade starts having, this is a flashback to after the island incident when he got the Mercury. That is still in him. But apparently he's, like in the gym with these men, they're training, but they don't know they're in danger. Because Slade is talking to Shadow. Well, she's dead, but he's seeing this vision of her, you know, telling, he's been there for what, like 3, 4 years now? Or 3 years after the island, and see something on the TV that Oliver's come back home, and angry that, that Oliver's still alive. He's desperate to get revenge, and that's the only thing he focuses on, planning his revenge and keeping his promise to Shadow. Because she says, you promised me you'd get revenge, and, they say, you okay? And then Slade starts attacking these men. He grabs a sword, and we don't see it, but he starts slashing them. Eventually Joe comes in. He's like, Father, how you, Dad? And you see, Slade all bloodied up in the face and bloodied everything, and knocks his son out. He's like, I need to get my revenge. I always keep my promises. And heads out for his plan to revenge. This is when you got season 2, of course, beginning of that season. But again, I liked that most part of the episode, seeing Slade's past as well. You know, you think he's fine, but then Mercuru is still in him. Diggle, has to go undercover as a drug dealer or something like that, or a guy who wants to buy drugs, meeting Ricardo Diaz. Diaz makes it understood that Arizona Station doesn't have endorsement and requests one of his today to load with a greater amount of them. Knowing that they call Diaz the Dragon as the name, he's got like a tattoo of it. You know, just like on the side of his face here. Joe's crew taking a shot at their heads in a weaponry. They steal the weapon. Bistro, he puts a suit on, of course, but he doesn't kill the man. And Joe's like, "We don't leave witnesses." And Joe kills the man. The eventually Team Arrow goes to the 3D printer. Well, not 3D printer. Oh, they go to shoot at it's Diaz. Diggle freezes in his shot protection nearly. Almost gets shot by Diaz. They figure that his past, that he was a criminal and stuff. Been a thug for most of his life. Slade approaches Joe about the interest of the explosives, and Joe counters saying that none of those men trust him with Dan around. Joe tells his father that he has a prison for him, and it's all over. He's like, "Come on, father, you want to get your revenge?" Slade like punches Oliver. He's like, "Always keep my promises." Diggle does have to lie about his tremors. He advises her that he's been taking steroids to get away with it. Slade hits a blade to Oliver's face. He's like, "You get your revenge on your men." He's like, "Here's your time, father. Get revenge." And so he lets Oliver go. He's like, "What?" And Oliver eventually starts to, you know, finally go. Slade takes on his son in a fight. He's like, "The man you saw was the man who was the Mercure. That wasn't me." He's like, "That's the man I wanted to be, though." He's like, you forgave Oliver? He's like, yes, I forgave Oliver because he forgave me for my past actions. You have to move on. Trust me, hate in your heart, darkness in your heart, it'll take you on a completely different path. It's not worth it. It's just not a good thing to do with yourself. Curtis and Felicity, though, they discover that the area of Diaz again and do request to get ready. Gilbert made on Diaz, arrange a group to take down him. Diaz eventually burns his supply. Oliver is ready to shoot the blade out of Joe's hand, and Joe tells an explosive to divert Oliver and Slade. Frodo can't get away. Slade persuades Oliver to return home. He has another child to another son named Grant. In Star City, though, Dale gets back to his wife Lyle, and she disclosed to him that her Team Arrow wrecked Diaz's office. Felicity and Wilmer playing Mortal Kombat. Michelle Oliver comes back home and, what was that? What did you help your friend? Yeah, I tried. You know, Dale discloses to Diana that he vows to stay discreet from her. Dismisses Diana looks down at the current her ex gave her last scene in the episode. Is there? I didn't care about the whole thing what was going on with John and Diaz as well, but I did like the stuff going on with Deathstroke and Oliver and their Deathstroke son Joe. That was good. That's mainly why I like this because they brought Deathstroke back. But I do like he's redeemed and stuff. But anyway, another episode of mine. This episode's okay. This episode is called Thanksgiving, and I would not be talking about Christ on Xfinity Part Two, so that will not be talked about. No, again, no crossover. So this episode was okay. This is called Thanksgiving. Begins with Oliver and William working at our man at Star City. They're at a food drive, doing some nice things for people for Star City, for the community. He glances over to Felicity. But Agent Watson shows up, the bitch shows up, and they arrest him. Oliver's set up to get ready to go to prison, and Sharp starts addressing him. She uncovers that Oliver taught Roy Hopper to wear the hood, and sends the kid John Doe to do likewise. She brings William in and scares the two, and Oliver, he's like, "You did that in front of my son, right in front of my son." Curtis realized, but they told Curtis too about it. Curtis is going to try to put this implant into his arm, like he did with Felicity to make her walk in to fix it for him, try to fix him. Then somewhere else, you have Kate and James has sent Black Siren and a group of thugs on a cruiser, send them to do something. Dark Siren utilizes her shot to bring in the safe and take the Hayden needed. Oliver gets put in a cell. The two call Felicity to ask if they could, be utilizing for it. She's heard and hangs up on the ground as they stroll into the court for Oliver's parents. Oliver's lawyer mimics his accused they charge of absence of proof. Doesn't take the lawyer. He sets Oliver's bail at $5 million. Curtis's fixes have been working. The trimmer's almost gone. The assemble group. Dale gets deserted though, nearly killed and almost has like a seizure out in the field. Renee and Diana advise Felicity regarding Diggle's tremors, and she's disturbed with Diggle. They tell Felicity, and Felicity's like, "Oh, how come you didn't tell me, John? You could have told me about this." And he's like, "Cause you would tell Oliver." You know. And what they're taking is to planning to build a bomb. Oliver visits Diggle in the clinic and uncovers that he thinks about Diggle's nerve arm. Now that Oliver knows, because thanks to Felicity, he's like, well, you gave me a right to put on that hood and all this stuff. He starts fussing at Oliver. I was like, no, you don't get to make that option, my friend. You don't. You're done. You lied to me. But then, John goes off. Like I said, they make John an asshole. Yeah, they made John Diggle. Congratulations, Arrow. You made him an asshole. And I like the character of John Diggle, but him lying about the nerve and putting the team in danger, which was stupid. You know, but he goes visits Theo. The great thing about this episode, though, I do like the whole thing that Thea does get back, and they have some eating with her. They eat with her at the end of Thanksgiving in the hospital. That was just good to see Theo, you know, back up and at him. You know, then they say that Renee says that Billy Joel was playing a show around and Oliver tries to talk to them about shutting it down. He's like, "No, Mr. Mary, you ain't got no proof. No, this happened. So no, we're not shutting down." At the field, though, Oliver gets into it with the field's administrator, who would not drop the show. So Oliver puts on the Green Arrow suit. Finally, where John's in the hospital. Diana and Lance are discussing Black Siren Lord's doppelganger, despite everything that's happened. Oliver has to apologize, and the two start discussing Oliver's capture in the day. They able to close Oliver that he's finding the nerve in his arm has ventured out to his back, and they've been in the process in the field that he could wind up incapacitated or handicapped, as you can say. The two offer some kind of reparation. Felicity, Renee, and Kurt Diana are thinking about how to shield from the assault when Oliver strolls in. So Group Arrow unites on the field and sets off an alarm trying to clear the field. Cops close the passing until Renee begins firing weapons at the roof. They figure the cops are phony, so they have to take on the cops that they're working for Kane and James. Oliver does find Caden, interrogates him. Caden uncovers there is no bomb. He simply needed to make that the goal of his team Arrow would show up so he could converse with the Green Arrow. Caden uncovers that he knows his identity as well. He's like, I know you're Oliver Queen. Caden uncovers that he needs retribution against the Green Arrow. By the fact the Green Arrow caused his child's demise. He's like, you called the son of Caden James. He says, I'm out for revenge for you. You killed my son, shot him an arrow last year. They figure out what happened to Caden's child. Curtis gets caution on his tablet. The following day, though, Oliver's talking with Communist on the days of city coroner, where he uncovers League Choice, which is set up sugar laws to battle vigilantism. They're back chatting with Diggle, prepare to leave Trolls and stand out to be noticed. But they do have a Thanksgiving at the end. Eventually, Oliver does come back as the Green Arrow, since John has that nervous system and gets really bad. If he gets another attack, he could die from it. So that was Thanksgiving, which was an alright episode. I just disliked it because of John and Kane James himself. I'll say this right away. He's a forgettable villain. He's not very intimidating to me. And we get a worse villain. This is where I hate the Arrowverse does this, where you have a villain of the season, and then they're not the well. Then they have for the first half of the season you have this one villain. Second half it's the real villain. Arrowverse, like with the character in season 4 of Supergirl, Agent Liberty, played by the actor from Smallville. I'm sorry, I can't believe his freaking name right now. But you find this Lex Luthor who's the real villain, so I'm like, I hate it when they do it. Joe Cryer was great though. That is a difference. Joe Cryer was great, but I hate when they do that. Just let the villain be the villain of the season. Don't surprise me. Well, you know what? I won't complain about that anymore. Season 4, it was a nice surprise to see Lex Luthor though, but This villain in here was no Lex Luthor. Anyway, next episode. Okay, wait, that was Thanksgiving. I marked it down. Okay, and I hated this episode. Now we're getting a little bit of least favorites. This is called Incredible. Ooh, can I talk? Incredible Differences, which I did not care for this episode. You know, Oliver and Felicity are now getting married. Felicity's parents show up. You see Donna, Oliver. I mean, it was nice to see Quentin have a little, has a bit of a short dance with her. It was a nice little wedding. But again, I never supported them getting married. I didn't like that. Didn't really care for that too much. Curtis gets drunk like an idiot because he got divorced from Paul and is going on a speech about, hey, oh yeah, love is great, love is a great thing. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, he's a drunken idiot. He passes out drunk on his couch. I'm like, I just did not care about Curtis and his low life. Diana gets a text from an unusual person. She leaves. Unknown person, so she walks away from the wedding. Arrow pulls Oliver aside and gives him a watch that his dad gave him on his wedding day. That was nice. Though I did like the scene though where Quentin gave him that. Quentin is almost like a second father figure to him. But that was a nice scene. So Curtis tells the microphone, gives him a drinking speech about love, where he's cut off by Renee, which I thought was stupid. They make a toast. Sorry for doing that. Lance intentionally chances upon Felicity's mother, taking guarantees. There's disagreement going on. Observer who will film if Oliver's the Green Arrow. Oliver feels that there's someone in the group because Quentin tells them that, well, somebody in the team told on them. So Oliver starts monitoring them, which I don't blame Oliver for doing. So Oliver and Felicity are talking about who's the mole in their group. This is why I hate this team. You know, you know. So Diggle doesn't concur with this, so I guess he doesn't agree with them being traitors. Diggle's like, they're not traitors. They won't betray you like that. You know. And you find Diana's talking to Vigilante Vince back in the street. Shows him to be quiet, quit reaching out to her. It's like, I could have rushed you to that last time, so you need to stop contacting me. Oh, yeah, I like it though when Thea's at the wedding as well. She's having a little dance with William. That was cute. Uh, yeah. Eventually, Thea and Quentin see Laura. Laura eventually, knocks out Thea. They kidnap Lance. Oliver, Felicity, and Diggle get Diana's Condor, Porter to talk with Vigilante. I believe that she's the guilty party. Yeah. Well, they go to Diana, and Diana's like, Diana, what have you been doing? Have you been talking to this Vincent guy, the vigilante? He's like, what I do is my, and she's like, what I do is my business, and she's just being a bitch. You know, yeah. I'm like, why are you talking to a criminal behind their backs? Diggle utilized his relationship with Lila to pursue the security watchman to get into her office. Gets to the PC because they get a call from Kane James on the opposite that he needs Team to recover something from Argus for him. Else he'll kill Quentin. I do like there's a moment though when or to Laurel and when they're talking about Laura's her past. Her father didn't get like cake when she was a kid. Her father didn't treat her with like, well, I would have got you some cake, and they have like a bit of a tender moment there. Diana Shore in no sense the group just returned from the field, and Felicia wasn't calling, so like, so you don't trust me. And again, like I said, she was being a bitch toward them. Obviously, Curtis agrees with Diana, supporting her in the contention. And of course, Curtis would disagree with Oliver, of course, because again, like I said, with this show, they love to prove that Oliver is wrong, that Oliver is the asshole here. You know, when Oliver has a son, and they could be betraying him like that. But Curtis tells everybody, he's like, stop, everybody, stop. Not Curtis Renee, I mean. And then, of course, who betrayed him? Renee. Because Renee's like, Oliver, it was me that did it. I betrayed. He's like, get out. And I was so happy when he told Renee, get his ass out of there. I did it for my daughter. You know what? I don't care about his daughter Zoe. Okay, the little girl that plays her, she's good. But you know what, Renee? I don't like you as a character. Screw you. You know, yeah. You've always just been an asshole. But I caged in the Black Siren is Emily Lance. Oh, the whole thing with Leanne, they talked about that. Yeah, I already mentioned that. Diane and Curtis are talking with Renee. And then they say, we understand you're just trying to help your daughter, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. At least Roy, for Oliver saving his life, he even let him be Green Arrow to help and save the city. So Renee did it for selfish reasons, I think. You know. Thea's conversing with Oliver, who's thinking again about dismissing Renee from the group. But they, of course, persuade Oliver to do it, so they bring him in. The group get ready, contemplate the trade with Clayton James. Felicity makes references to the dark gap where they have to go. Oliver teaches Renee and Curtis and Diana to go to about his eyes leaders while he makes a trade. Oliver hands over the enhancer, yet Cade in a split second that it's been undermined. Black Siren, Kane tells her to kill Lance, but she hesitates. Diana goes to Oliver's guide, while Renee and Curtis announce encounter authority because he's telling them Oliver's telling Curtis and Renee to stay. And of course, Renee, never who Jason X now, doesn't listen and jumps in the situation and nearly gets them killed. Yeah. So, but instead of killing him, Black Siren lets him go. I do see that there's some good in her, though. It's just taking time to get there. I'll arrest Renee for what good reason and her at their post. And, Paris like, well, technically, I just followed him. And I'm like, no, you idiot. You just chose to go with him. You didn't want to listen either. He didn't make you go with him. You chose to follow him and run with him. But he's like, it was a decision, Haas, did this. He's like, Renee, you proved me wrong. I was testing you out and you failed. You're off the team. Get out. Bye bye. Good. I'm like, screw Renee. Renee's like, oh, see y'all later. Like, I really just don't like Renee. Yeah. Diana ventures up and says that she no longer has faith in Oliver. And she's like, I'm leaving the group. Bye, bitch. Bye, Felicia. And same thing with freaking Mr. Disaster. Curtis says, I'm leaving too. A little later on tells him that. Because it was wrong for you to, Oliver, it was wrong for you to do that to us. Well, you guys don't listen. You suck as a team. You never listen to Oliver. You do things that can compromise his identity and compromising with bad guys, and you're telling him behind his back. A real person would not treat their team member like that. That's why Oliver has to watch you because he can't trust you. So I don't blame him for doing surveillance on him. But the scene closes with Caden watching the heroes from a screen. We have villains like Ricardo Diaz, Vigilante, Black Siren. What was the guy's name? His sidekick, second hand man, whatever the frick his name was. Almost kind of looks like the brother of Peter Green, of the late Peter Green, by the way. They say, yeah, we got them to fight each other. So this episode sucked mainly because of the team and what Kane James doing. Kane James is a flabby villain. So again, didn't care for the episode. We're in 1 hour 20 minutes. Okay. All right. And another least favorite of mine is called. Sorry. Another least favorite of mine called uh, Divided. Yeah. This episode I thought sucked too. Yeah. Begins with Ken James Black Siren. Cardio's entering the office of the Renault crime family. Kane offers to purchase his organization. You know, she blows him a kiss. Eventually, Bertinelli, if you remember the character of Frank Bertinelli in season one, yeah, well, I guess it's his brother, since his family's either incarcerated. His niece, I guess you could say, for killing her father, killing some people, was in jail. The Huntress. That would have been cool if they brought her back, though. And maybe they could have done something with her character. I wish they'd bring the Huntress back. So James gives him 48 hours to think it over, to hand his organization over to him. So Oliver, Felicity, and John at the Arrow Cave to find Kate and James. However, they're having no luck. Oliver leaves and he runs to Curtis, who's shown up to help deal with the tremors, and they're just not talking. Theo strolls into Quentin Lance's office asking whether he needs a partner. So, he recruits her as his chief of staff because Renee was fired for good reason. First of all, it has new issues. A few issues with Diggle's setup. Vincent Stobo goes to speak with Diana at the Star City. The two consent to a date. Felicity and Diggle meet in a spot away from the illuminate him. They think that, Jack and James have been planning this for quite some time. Jay Bernelli set the alarm off so that he could make contact with the Green Arrow. Arrow goes to his office. Bernelli tells him about the visit from Kane James and requests his assistance, and Green Arrow agrees. He's like, we're not friends or anything like that. Albert takes a hard drive to Bernelli offered him to Felicity and Diggle to hack into it. Renee is preparing his daughter for the afternoon. They're knocking on the door. It's Curtis and has brought over some food. Renee expresses regret to Curtis about flipping his eyes on Oliver. Although he later says Oliver's a jerk. Regrets. No, Renee, you're just an asshole to him 24/7. Yeah. Then a bit so strongly on their little dates, which again I don't care about. I didn't care about the whole thing with Diana and Vincent, their lovers, and so I just don't care about their little date. Yeah. But anyway, what was Oliver doing? Thanks to help of Felicity, that hard drive. That's going to help the Green Arrow in the field. Yeah, but Oliver goes to confront the group though, and Kane's just like, "Well, I got friends and you don't, Mr. Queen." So Kane tells him about it. So just for a few seconds there, he lets Oliver is able to shoot an arrow up in the air, like zip line away, and the idiot doesn't kill him. And by the way, like I said, Diaz is the real villain of the season. By the way, I don't care. I'm gonna spoil that anyway. And I don't know why. Here's the thing. He just gets away, and he was like, "Why didn't you shoot him?" No, better to leave him alive for now. Why? You idiot! Why? I don't understand why any of these men, if he's got men working for him, that have guns, just don't take a shot at the Green Arrow. Why would they care? You talking about being realistic? They would probably just really take a shot at him. You know, but they let him get away, which I thought, Kane James, you're an idiot. Yeah, you might be a computer hacker, whatever, but in hindsight, you're an idiot. You know. So Thea patrols the Lance office and finds her superior looking through a photo album, pictures of him and Laurel, which I like that little scene with them. They talk there about Laurel, even though she's not your Laurel. And it's like, he's almost like a daughter to her. Not replacing, but Thea becomes like almost like a daughter to him, and he gives him some new pictures of the album. I thought that was a sweet moment. That's the only thing I really cared about, and what Oliver was doing in the episode as well. I say it was cool to see him as Green Arrow again. Felicity and Diggle assemble Renee and Diana and Curtis. They show up at Felicity's place. They tell Renee Curtis that Caden has been watching them for quite a long time. Felicity, at this point, lets them Caden is working with Rada. Oh, also mentioned Anatoli's working with Ken James as well. And Dia is a vigilante. She urges them to get their grudge against Oliver, but they refuse. And annoyed Diana stomps out of the room, which I don't care about. Good, bye, Felicia. I'm like, really, John and Felicity? Get over it. They're not going to come back. They suck as a team. They would never be good as Arsenal, Speedy, the real Black Canary, Laurel. Yeah, that was the true Arrow team to me. You know, yeah. So Oliver meets with Bertinelli at the docks. Oliver considers to work with him, but Diana gets together with Vincent once more, which I didn't care about. She punches him. Finally, he works for her. She cuffs him. He cuffs her. Whatever. Just proves that she's an idiot. Oliver and Digger discuss the state of the team. Oliver says he can't trust them, and I get his point. Diggle and Felicity himself are not enough to stop all Caden. Oliver stopped plenty of people on his own, so screw the team. There's moments where Spartan is talking to Arrow. When can I get the hood back? I don't get the hood back, and Oliver just knows, which I don't blame him. We're out in the field fighting, and you want to talk about this now? So Bertinelli hires the Red Lions, this group, to help him out. Suggests that they kill Bertinelli. Caden agrees. At the dock, so Diaz and his men attack the Red Lions. Oliver drops down from the ceiling in the midst of the gunfight. And I do like the moment. Yeah, sometimes the action's a bit shaky, but it was cool to see Green Arrow in action, shooting some arrows and fighting some guys. He nearly gets to attack, almost gets to attack him, but Black Siren attacks him off. Or Diaz. A vigilante attacks him from behind. Bertinelli attempts to get away, but Kate and his men shoot and tell him that it doesn't have to end like this. Vigilante holds down Oliver with a red panel flashes on Oliver's sleeve. Oliver does get away though. Bertinelli gives up and tells Kate to take the port. Diaz then shoots him in the head. He's like, I won't kill your daughter now. So Oliver, Felicity, Diggle, Renee, Kirsten Day, they meet at Felicity's. Oliver opens up that his dad. He knows why Renee turns to Devin. He's sorry for putting Renee and them in that position, saying it was a breach of trust. Oliver says that things return to normal, yet Diana and Kirsten refuse. I don't think Oliver should have apologized. They should apologize to him. I don't feel bad for Renee. He's like, well, Renee, I understand what you did. No, I don't understand, Renee. If it was Oliver in your position as a wild dog, I don't think he would give you up because you were his chief of staff. Somebody find you were a wild dog and you know, and he was going to turn you in. He wouldn't do that. Oliver would not betray his own team member. You know, a part of teamwork, being a team, you don't stab your team member in the back. You know, Curtis takes Renee down to another refuge. The Helix is old central. They decide they're going to be a new team. So Curtis is going to be in charge. Yeah, this to Mr. Rubik. Mr. Disaster, I call him, sucks. So Felicity gives John his new hand implant, and it works. And he's able to use his gun real good. He's like, "Oh, good, Spartan, you're back." But again, I just didn't care about the episode. I don't care for this team. I don't care for Kane James as a villain or Diaz. You know, some things I kind of probably did like. It's like seeing Oliver in action, but Oliver having to apologize to the team. No, it'll keep you for a good reason because you give him a reason not to trust you. That's why, dumbasses. But anyway, divided. Yeah, this episode sucked. All right, and this episode is also another least favorite of mine. We. That is called We Fall. All right, we're 1 hour and 32 minutes in. Okay. You have this councilman named Harold Grover leaves home. His car's covered in toilet paper, and he was like, I'm a senator, councilman, whatever." You know, you have Captain Frank Pike. They're at a lift at work. Governor's car fails to respond to his instructions, driving through a red light, and he crashes. He's killed. Life support starts falling at the hospital. And Lorelai gets executed. The lift launches with Pike and everybody else inside. Oh, they die stupidly because Pike is telling everybody, "Stay back, stay back." And so one idiot, "Let me push this button." He pushes the button. They all get shocked, and Pike gets killed. Stupidly, they kill off Pike. I do like the character of Captain Pike, yeah. But if you're gonna kill them all, do it in a better way. Yeah, they get electrocuted and die. As an idiot, oh, let me just push the button. Maybe if you're, with a police captain in a bad situation, maybe you should listen to him instead of pushing a button that might get you all killed. Um, so Oliver and William, they practice with toy bows and arrows, which I thought that was pretty cool. That was pretty fun seeing them do that. Oliver seems to be out of practice. Oliver and Felicity see William on a school trip. Felicity gets alerted to the deaths of the governor, 6 people at the hospital. Quentin calls Oliver and tells him that Pike was one of the fatalities. So Oliver sends Felicity to the bunker, where Dougal was working out. Dougal suggests involving Curtis and Diana Renee. Again, and Oliver, I agree. After the whole thing, well, we're done with you. We don't agree with you. Oliver, they don't really want to be with, be a team member with you, and you say, I agree. So, but they decided to share intel. Oliver meets with Quentin at the CCPD, puts him and Thea in charge. Excuse me. So they try to take on down Kane James, control the city's network. Oliver returns to his office to give his state of pep talk and lead a tribute to the governor. His secretary Becky shows an appointment to meet James. James will reveal that his associates still have the explosives. He doesn't return. He wants $10 million offshore account. Like, here set this account. I'm going to kill more people. He also reveals that his son died exactly a year ago when he was hit by one of Oliver's arrows that missed his target. That's why he's out for revenge. Curtis, Renee, and Diana notice that one of the Curtis's laws is detecting vigilante. They investigate a car park as Mr. Terrific, a wild dog, Black Canary, which I didn't care about. Um, Return to their new Team Arrow base. You're not Team Arrow. Your team, Mr. Terrific, is one. Your Team Disaster. I'm gonna call them Team Disaster. Curtis says that his team is gonna handle the situation. Wild Dog and Canary head to the junction, find the tracks across the trains would collide. After falling to divert them, Canary stops one of the trains with a sonic scream. She just stops it with a sonic scream. Okay, but her sonic scream, by the way, I forgot to mention, it's really bad CGI too. Felicity learns from Athena that she's only given James access to the network by taking down the firewall. Oliver tells her and Diggle what to find out. So I do like in the episode that William is getting picked on the bus. Eventually, he's getting bullied by this kid. This kid that was he was in the Child's Play remake as one of Andy's friends. But anyway, the power goes off like in this tunnel. And I didn't like it when William stood up and he saves his classmate. He's like, no, we can't go in the front door, let's go in the back. So he saves him and even saves the bully that was mean to him. Eventually, Oliver dressed up as Green Arrow. He realizes, even though Dad told me he wasn't a Green Arrow no more, he's like, son, you're safe. You come with me. You know. And Donnie, the kid's name is Donnie, even tries to help him, but Oliver as Green Arrow saves his son, which I liked. William takes. I did really like that. That was pretty cool. Green Arrow and Spartan arrive and start getting everyone to safety. They take William to the bunker. He's upset with his dad for not being Green Arrow, but the Negro was hurt and the rest of the team quit. Felicity receives news from Alina that James received an evidence that convinced him Oliver killed his son. Curtis tells Renee and Diana that information came from Sobel. Curtis and Renee are willing to work with him, but Diana says against trusting him so they receive more intel. Oliver visits Quentin and Thea, but no one is using the safe areas. Police are just standing around. Oliver holds a press conference to inform people of the situation. Felicity and William Diggle view the speech at the bunker. James also views it. Tells Sobel and check that it is preceded. Sobel uses Curtis's tracking to send a message to the new Team Arrow in Morse code. Oh yeah, because he talks to Mr. Terrific earlier about, Vigilante. Vincent talks to, which I don't really care about, was the only team anyway. You know, Green Arrow and Spartan end up joining like Canary Wild Dog and Terrific. So Vigilante and Shek arrive within the group with the men. The two Arrow teams take them on. Vigilante kills Shek to stop him killing Wild Dog. Yeah, he shoots Shek. Felicity and him William watch the battle. Felicity tells William she always worries about Oliver, just that he knows what he's doing. The two teams go to separate ways. Oliver does apologize to his son for not being there, for not telling him he's a Green Arrow, but for good reason, to protect him. William, he looks like he's 14 years old. He's 14 years old, I think. William, the character of William, he looks like 14 or 15, 14 probably. But he sounds like he's 5 years old most of the time. Talks the way, that way. But he realizes what his dad does important. He's proud of his dad. Liz gets another message from Melina. She hasn't been able to get a hold of James's evidence. Oliver goes back to the office and tells Thea to wire the money. So, yeah. And I just didn't care for the episode too much. You know. And that was oh, that was We Fall. Okay. Sorry. Alright. And I believe the next episode is another least favorite of mine. And that is so as We Fall, that was the last one. And my next least favorite one is called All for Nothing. Special Oliver meeting with Lance. Oops, sorry. Another episode I did not care for. And Diana recently selected Captain Hill, the new captain since Pike died in the last episode. Stupidity, though, I think, by the way. So James is, doing, I guess you say AI. He's getting control of systems and stuff. They see Oliver's operator surface from the lake holding on. Pressing orders from Oliver at the point when Oliver orders them to go get James. They're in the water. They got electricity on. They got like the wire, you know, and of course they all end up dead. King James kills all of them. So he wires $70 million from him, which is bad for them to do this. This is money for businesses, schools, and basically for everyday life that James is taking away from them. We do get flashbacks of Vincent and Diana, essential like 5 years ago, flashbacks of them, which I just do not care about that. Seeing them become partners to lovers and all that stuff, seeing them being undercover, I did not care about any of that. How they met that guy that got the concussion powers, I just didn't care. I'm not talking about the folks because I just didn't care. You know, you see Vincent's meeting with Car Diaz, the bravado, and Kane James at one of James' dens. They consider Vincent a backstabber, that he's helping Team Arrow out. She advises them that once Kane James is taken care of, she's accepting going on their wedding trip. You know, because they can't go on their honeymoon yet. You know, they're prepared to take down Vigilante, but Curtis and Renee tell them not to. They talk about Kane's arrangements. In the wake of hearing critically about Kane's arrangement, Felicity and Curtis established that Vincent should go further cover to put a unique gadget on a server that will permit Team Arrow to impair Kane's weaponry. It was the idea that he's got another 2 telling him as the later. Diana pulls Vincent aside and inquires if she's whether Oliver's put them into the mission, and Vincent says that he's doing it voluntarily, that they go with them, they give him a wire. So Curtis, Renee, and Diana come back to the first Arrow, keep tabs on Vincent's development. He's ready to get in the server room. Once he begins moving documents, Caden stalks, strolls in, and gets them. In Team Arrow, they get these common frameworks. Plus, they gives a couple lines to state about it. So he doesn't trust to ruin his in his disguise. He's like, it was like, oh, Mr. Stovall, Vincent Vigilante, I know you know about computers. Well, yes, I do. And then Felicity's talking him through it, because he's got the hearing device in his ear. But James still suspects him. He's like completely stupid. Long enough for the documents to finish. Kane follows Vincent outside where he calls the last double crosser. Talks to him that, he's like, I need your help to find a traitor, and that's you. And they like pass him out, hold him hostage. Caden follows Vincent outside. You know, Diana gets stressed that she hasn't got notification from Vincent, and sometimes she chooses to go to Felix, and Renee chooses to go with him, with Caden's torturing Vincent, where he discovers Vincent as a metahuman. Caden and Dragon, that is Diaz, describe Vincent with intel to get tormented. Diaz helping Lance watch out for Laura. He deceives her and can draw her to a spot, but the photo's worth one Laura. He's he's like, this is my Laura. This is how my Laura was. You know, she gets no way and destroys it with her black siren. But you see that there's a bit of human in her, that goodness in her that she wants to get away from. I did like that in the episode, I'll admit. So Felicity tracks the area of the bomb. They find Vincent being tortured. Diana heads out to spare him. Curtis and Renee join her. Of course, they don't let Oliver him anyway. And basically, oh, I forgot to mention, he's mad at Oliver. He's like, boy, it was a risk that we needed to take. Stop James. Because again, he's doing a lot of damage to the city. So Vince can be helped to take him down inside. Diane is caught under. Oh, sorry. Oliver and Diggle go to the center, find the bomb. Kane and the group have a bunch of regular citizens that they have to save. Diana discovers Vincent. Though she gets shaken by a blast that recaptures her. Diane is caught under this rubble. Vincent goes to help her when he's overwhelmed by Black Siren. He's spared on some rubber standing out of the divider. Dark Siren approaches Vincent and uses her powers point blank. And then, Diana's like, please don't do it. Please don't Black Siren. Please don't Black Siren. Just walks up to him in his ear, does her yell, and kills Vincent. And she's like, oh, baby, it's okay. It's okay. You're crying. I just didn't care. Yeah. Curtis and Renee executed that Oliver and Dougal couldn't find the bomb. Upset that more she might suspect Vincent passed on to no end. Oliver and Dougal come back to Arrow and Sarah Vincent has been slaughtered. Felicity at that point gives them that they've revealed that homicide Ken James child on tape. You found out somebody actually set it up, that it was somebody else, that it was an archer that was hired by somebody. In James's group, spoiler alert, it was Diaz. Oliver heads towards Diana's to converse with her about the fire that night. Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna murder every one of them, starting with Laura. And he's like, well, I'm sorry. She's like, Oliver, he's dead because of you, blah, 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 and I'm gonna get my revenge. So again, I just didn't care. All for nothing. It's a pointless episode. You know, didn't care about it. Okay, we're 1 hour 47 minutes in. Okay. So that was all for nothing. Another least favorite episode is mine. Let's see. It's called Devil's Greatest. No, 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 not that episode, not that episode. Another least favorite of mine called The Devil's Greatest Trick. Yeah, another least favorite of mine. Starts with Kate and James talking with Oliver and Diggle by means of a PC screen. Kanan covers his exploding the bomb on Star City at midnight. Oliver and Diggle return to Arrow HQ, attempting to console Kate and follow up on an arrangement. Kate sends his partners to crime by the last making arrangements for the bomb. We do see flashbacks of Caden working at PC Helix, where he met Elena, and how that didn't work out. He got fired from his job because he couldn't see much of his son. His son was a basketball player in high school, didn't get to see much of his son, and his dad gets mad that he missed his game. Antonio Diaz and Laura are simmering whether they trust Caden. Monsters might reverse to the transport Caden guaranteed. They think that they can't trust him. Diana has combined to one of Caden's safe houses with Curtis and Renee. He's searching for more data, more discover Black Siren trying to get the quality of Vincent. Elena is helping Felicity at the Arrow HQ. Behind the video that Oliver is the killer of Caden's child, someone, overlaid his face or digitalized it, you know, regulating him like the Green Arrow did it. Caden acknowledges somebody inside his own, the passing of his child. Oliver and Diggle track Caden down. They verify that to him. They let him know, and he intends to get revenge. The pair comes to Arrow HQ and tells Felicity and Lena that Hayden is going to turn Antoli, Dragon, Diaz, Laura, in the case of the bomb, yeah, that it was flowed. As they need more assistance, they will call Curse and Renee to request their assistance somewhere else. Diana finds Black Siren, the two start battling, you know. Lance runs to stop the battle. Diana thumps, obviously, and Oliver strolls, utilizes controlling bolt on both of them. And Oliver, ties her up, is like, what are you doing? I'm trying to get my revenge on her. You know, we need to find out who this killer is. We need to capture her because because King James is gonna kill a lot of people still if we don't do this. Though Diana's hell bent on revenge on Black Siren. They hold Black Siren at the new Helix compound. Arrow strolls in and conflict with Diana. They establish the city. That she's like, okay, we'll do this for now, but then I'm gonna kill her later. William is becoming disappointed with Felicity at the Arrow. She's like, you need to stay here. He's like messing with an arrow. And Felicity, Thea's like, no, William, put that down. And William sneaks off to there where Green Arrow is because he was worried. I'm like, they should have kept that kid on a leash. But anyway. So Oliver and Diggle track down Tully. May fast forward with his partner's crime. They catch him, but Curtis and Renee get Dragon. With each of the grown, they get the three caught. Kane James Williams gets away from them. William gets away from the den. Yeah. Oliver and Diggle take it until I guess because they don't lock the doors in there. They probably should have had security doors in there to lock the doors so William can't get out. We see another. Caden is watching his child's ball game. He is captured by the Argus. He's like, "Can I see this in my son's game? Can I please see it one more time?" And they're like, "No." And they arrest him. And then moments later, though, maybe a couple hours later, he saw that his son's been shot or been killed by an arrow, killed or whatever. And like, sorry for your loss. Dad and Lance take Laura to Caden's office while Danny goes to investigate the spot. Laura and Lance contend about the treatment of each other. Tree feels that Lance has been out of line. They took Laura, Curtis, and Renee show up with Diaz. And he's like, we're going to find out who, one of you isn't. And Black Siren says she did it. And King James punches her in the face. But it's like, you're not that smart enough to you. You're just babbling on. Listening to Lena, notice something isn't right about Kane's bomb. Attempt to make someone what's happening. They intercept Kane's bomb. Is detonating with Laura's neckline. She makes Briscoe diverting everyone with the force. She's ready to get away. Inside, William sees the shipment on the floor and starts drilling towards it. A firefight breaks out inside. Lance takes a stab at pulling Diana and Laura separated. However, Diana's ready to shoot blast her in the stomach. So Kane takes the detonator from William and reveals to Oliver that he feels that he bombed his child. Despite everything, he intends to live with the city. Oliver's ready to shoot Kane in the arm, making him drop the detonator. Group arrows back at the arrow. Eventually they defeat Caden James. Group arrows back to secure Caden. Renee and Curtis remind Oliver that despite the fact they bring down Canes, they will stay separate groups. Like, whatever. Fuck you guys. Enjoy. Yeah. Caden gets Oliver a piece of paper for which his previous partners and their individual financial plans. We see Lance is taking Black Siren to his vehicle to get her out with a shoot injury. He takes her to a cabin in the woods to help her out, to get her better. Diaz throws into the room Caden is being held in. Star City he's like, I figured, he's like, it was me that killed your son. And again, I don't like Diaz as a villain. I think that he's got the raspy voice. Not just the raspy voice, but he's just a thug. We've had better villains like Merlin, Michael Merlin, Deathstroke, Ra's al Ghul, the third season, then Damien Dark, and then Prometheus. Now we got this guy who, oh well, we gotta have a mobster kind of guy, thug be a villain in this season. But he tells us the reason he did it. He's like, because I need to do, defeating Team Arrow, whatever. He's like, why? He said him was like, instead of destroying the city, I want to take over. He says to take over the city, and then he says the police officers, all the cops, some of the city officials are on my payroll. I'm paying them. And at the point, he goes behind Caden and he stabs him. Yeah, didn't care for this episode though. And I don't care that Diaz is the main villain either. I mean, maybe you could have had him a secondary antagonist, but still they don't. But that was the Devil's Greatest Trick episode. Did not care for it. All right, and then let's see, we're nearly 2 hours now. Okay, maybe I talk about two more episodes here in a little bit. And then Collision Course. That's another least favorite of mine. Sorry, Collision Course. Another least favorite of mine. Starts off with Oliver being informed on the murder of Ken James in the police station. Oliver then starts a team error meeting with a few members. Especially at this point with the city and not having gotten the cash that they required to Caden. And the city yells at him as mayor, says, why did you give him the money? Why'd you do this? Yada, yada, yada. Everything, our system, our way of living is like shut down. Oliver pauses then for a minute to talk with Lance and Theo. Cautions Lance that Diana is out of control, attempting to find him, kill Black Siren. So Diana and another police investigator enter Oliver's office and advise him that Cadence has been purged and that they have no follow-up for who took it. Oliver cautions the team that if the cash isn't returned within 48 hours, Star City's economy will suffer crushing end. the economy will go down. We need money for the economy, right? So, yeah. So on the following day, Diana comes back with the investigator to uncover the withdrawal logs from the bank and have security cameras for Laura making the withdrawal, you know, dressed in her black wig with the dress on. We see at that point that Lance has taken Laura to a cottage after the past fight. And she's like, I'm not your daughter, you can't talk to me, But he's just trying to help her out. He's doing very well at it, though, I think. He's trying. So Curtis, Renee, and Diana are back at the scene where Laura was shot. Utilizing the new Curtis made, they discover that Laura was halted away from the scene, despite the fact that, that it was Quentin that did it. Oliver's back at the lair with Laura. Well, because Thea, like, spots it. And she's like, Quentin, what are you doing? She's like, I'm just trying to help her. Oliver, Felicity, and Diggle go to Silver entry and furthermore discover that Black Siren was taken from the scene. They go to Team Error 2.0's lair and question the trio the chance they took Laura or not. They strain argument closes with Oliver sticking Renee against the wall. Well, pretty much, they go talk to them and they get confused and they shut the computers down, listening to them do. You know, Renee tries to put his hands on Oliver, like, you don't just follow him up, and Oliver, like, grabs him. Yeah, he puts a dot on Oliver, like, they can a tracker on him, which they do find the tracker, by the way, which you wouldn't, dumbass Renee didn't figure, oh, well, you know, that Felicity's techno whiz. Yeah, they don't find anything and they leave. So Oliver and Felicity and Diggle leave. Renee tells the that he planted one of the first listening chips on Oliver, but they find the chip. Alexis calls though. Thea enters the person about concealing Laura. Thea calls Oliver and puts Laura on a speakerphone. Laura discusses to Oliver that the main reason she could give the cash back is for the group to assist her with escaping the country. She's like, oh, I want to get out of here, to safety and stop that crazy bitch from killing me. Oliver, Felicity, and Diggle agree to help while going to Lance's lodge. So that she'll give them the money back so they can get the economy back on. Oliver and friends meet the in-laws in TA and dispatch the GPS beacon that was set on Oliver. New team mayor approaches several Oliver and friends, and Curtis reveals that he has always ever really hurt Diggle. At the lodge, Diggle starts to do comedy miserably. Curtis is hacked. Yeah, Curtis like hacks him, and because he's got the chip in him, he hacks it, and he's hurting him. As Diggle, Felicity, Oliver, and Thea and Lance go to move Laura, they meet outside by Renee, Diana, and Curtis. The two groups begin battling. They fight. You know, I will admit though, it was kind of a cool scene when Mr. Terrific, when Curtis uses one T Spears to attack. Oh, that was decent. But again, they knew. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Curtis gets his ass kicked. Gets into the hospital to fight him with Oliver because he tries to shoot him. Oh, and by the way, Felicity, because Curtis has guns, right? Yeah. So Curtis is shooting his guns, and Felicity just runs up to him and, ow, why'd you do that? Get shot. I'm like, you dumb bimbo, you dumb blonde ass bitch. Why did you walk up to him and get shot? What do you think was going to happen? He's firing bullets. You don't run up to somebody who's shooting a gun, you know. But they fight. He gets knocked out. The team gets knocked out. Diana almost comes close to killing uh, Laura, but Laura gets away because Curtis convinces her, talks her down. Yeah. But Renee's been greatly injured. No surprise there. They go to the hospital to see how Renee's doing, and Dougal and Felicity, they get told by Curtis and Dinah, we're done. We're not talking about that. And Felicity's like, fine. I don't care for this team at all. Why do we have to have an unlikable team? I get it. Teams argue. But this is just horrible. The writing is just so bad, in my opinion. Where I just hate this team. I don't care about this team. This is just, at this point, this show just starts to suck. Oliver has to tell Tina that they couldn't recover the money. Diane and Curtis learn that Renee's wounds are a lot worse than they expected. They hope he moved to a greater emergency clinic outside Star City. Laura appears by a distribution center. She tells the man, she's like, I heard, it's like, my name's Laura Lance. The Laura Lance that died those 2 years ago by Damien Dark. But, Legend Course, this episode freaking sucks. Alright, we're in 2 hours in now. Okay. Sorry. Give me a minute. We got 9 episodes left. Alright, I'm going to talk about just one more episode for now. Then we're going to jump into part 2. And surprisingly, this episode is a favorite of mine because we bring back a character, Roy Harper. So, an episode I finally liked, and that was called Doppelganger. This episode with Thea, this episode, yeah, again, I did enjoy Doppelganger. The episode with Oliver's, the covers that would, you know, they're talking to, Oliver's lawyer, along with Thea, that they don't have enough body evidence against Renee, and thus they won't have an argument against Oliver. Oliver's lawyer, his ever has a decision about how to execute the charge against Oliver. Black Siren, his lawyer, goes to police headquarters saying that, I'm Laura Lance, and she does this thing on TV, gives Quentin a hug, and also Oliver, that she'll put on an act or whatever. He claims that Damien Dark faked her death and has held her kidnapped for the past 2 years. She asks whether Oliver is the Green Arrow, and she doesn't react to the iniquities. She didn't say so. Question about the cash. Laura says when she went to get everything from out the bank, that point it was gone. That she believes either Ricard Diaz or Antonio got it before she did. So Lauren covers to Oliver, Thea, and Lance that at the end, to secure herself, she was going to cooperate with Lauren Lance stick, pretend to be her. She persuades them cooperating with her. In the event that they don't show under Oliver's secret identity to the press. So Diana strolls into her supervisor's office, quickly put on the Laurel Lance return case. Curtis goes to Renee's condo to watch over his daughter, which was nice for him to do. Oliver, his lawyer, and the examiner discuss the charges against Oliver while committing the excusal. Oliver and his lawyer are stunned that another witness other than that is Roy Harper. Yeah, you find out that Roy's in witness protection, but by the cops that are being paid by Ricardo Diaz, the Dragon. So they return to the air cave. Thea, of course, wants to help out. We do see Thea in her back in her speedy suit. I was like, yeah, that was just awesome. You know, they discuss their best course of action and what they're going to do with Felicity and Diggle. Oliver pushes the group to attempt to discover Roy's whereabouts, so they start, they figure out where he's at. You know, Oliver has to protect because Diana there won't tell her, so Oliver's not gonna let her go in there. Like, no, you're not. But Laura gets away. Diana needs to address Laura. And when Lance returns to the room, they find out she's been taken by a cop. Outside, Laura's dragged away to Ricardo Diaz's fort. He's like, so Ricardo, you're the one that's going to try to take over the city. You see him like training, fighting some guys or whatever. And Diaz gives this big speech to his man and say, one of your family betrayed you. You gotta do something about it. He's like, I'm just putting on an act. So Oliver and Diggle have printed Roy's robots and they go to investigate the error. Laura's talking with Diaz, but says well by Anatoly. She takes a stab presuming the Russian that Diaz has on plan the entire time. Oliver and Diggle return to the Arrow Cave to get ready. Thea persuades her brother to release her. Oliver and Thea head out Roy's area, and of course she puts on her speedy suit on again. You see Roy. It was good to see Roy Harper again, but this time he's being tortured by these cops. The quick cops leave. Thea sneaks in. She's like in an air vent. She's able to like zip line to the building. singing their event. He's like, Thea, you look good. She gives him a kiss. She's like, I hope, your girlfriend's like, no, I didn't have married to have kids. So you're good to give me a kiss. That was more than a warm welcome. Before they can escape, though, these cops are about to break in. And she's like, I can defeat them. And Thea just tries to shoot her up with Thea. I know Thea. I can excuse her because, again, she loves Roy. And I want her to see her and Roy together. So I understand why she wants to save him. At this point, this is the only couple that I care about in this series right now. Not Oliver and Felicity, not Diana and Vincent. Only so far, just a good couple here that I see is the best couple that I've seen so far in the series. Is to me, uh, you know, Rory and Theo. Are the best couple I've seen in the series as of the far. But Oliver's able to like zip line her. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. I think John as far as talking to Oliver about, it's been 2 months. Can I be the Green Arrow again? And I'm like, dude, we're trying to save Roy right now and my identity in the city. And you want to really talk about this crap right now? Because you've picked out the worst time to talk about it, John. But she's getting all over. Why'd you do that? He's like, because you, Speedy, you weren't going to be safe. But Diaz gets sent to, well, Roy gets kidnapped again by the Croak House. It's sent this time to Diaz himself because she can't face into her SWAT. The team rendezvous back at the air cave, and Dougal covers that they're moving Roy to another safe house, yet he doesn't know where. Oliver advises Lance and Diana that Felicity discovered the Star City Police Department has studied the homicide of Kate and James, concludes that a few individuals are on Diaz's side. In the wake of discovering a few days of cops are corrupt, Diana consists to rat Oliver and Lance out, so those officials are on Diaz's side. Until it takes Laura to converse with Diaz. So Team Arrow discovers that Diaz's men are moving, so Roy and Oliver and Thea go to stop the van. They try to stop it, but they figure out it's a trick, that Roy's not really there, so he's now at Diaz's lair. Diaz begins getting annoyed that Roy isn't revealing where he is and takes up to hurt Thea. You know, Oliver and Diana are drinking at the police department, but they're knocking on the door. It's Laura. She says she's become better informed about Ricardo Diaz. Oliver converses with Thea, attempting to promise that they'll discover and spare Roy. Team Arrow meets at Lance's place. Laura discloses to him the entirety of Diaz's plan to assume control of the city. Reveal that Roy has been taken to a deserted casino. Oliver calls Diggle to let him know. Oliver, Thea, and Diggle hit the casino. Shiro continued on whether it was just cool to see them work together, as well. They fight with some of his men. Eventually run to Diaz himself, and Diaz reveals that he knows that Oliver is the Green Arrow. He calls him Mr. Mayor. So Billy cautiously reveals that one of Diaz's cops, along with the range of the police, throws out the events in the casino. Oliver does have a little bit of a fight with him. Diaz sparing Roy and Oliver, abandoning Diaz for the cops to discover. They take Roy back to the Arrow Cave, and they find him to have a couple of broken ribs. Oliver goes to the Lance family hideout to talk to Laura. He expresses gratitude to her for not saying Team Arrow, advising them. He says, I appreciate it, but you see, finds she's working with Diaz behind their back. So Thea and Roy return to her place and begin getting close again. Yeah, I know it's been a little while and stuff, but they share a kiss. Outside the window, an individual from the League of Assassins keeps an eye on the pair. Is like, we must watch the daughter of Ra's al Ghul, talking about Malcolm Merlin. And then the episode ends there. Doppelganger. I thought this episode was good. Yeah. Again, not many favorites, but that was one of my favorites. So that was Doppelganger. All right. 2 hours 10 minutes in. Okay, hold on. We got 8 episodes left. All right, guys. I'm gonna stop here for now. We're gonna go into part two of my thoughts. This was my thoughts on favorite episodes of Arrow season 6. Part one. We'll get into part two next. So stay tuned for part two of Arrow season 6. So part two coming up next. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Stay tuned for the next video. Bye.